Hi, this is Erica from Danile Photography, and I am just here to help you dive into Photoshop. It is one heck of a program. It is so powerful, but as a result, it is so confusing. So this is just an introduction to Photoshop and to all of its wonderful features. Unfortunately, we can't really cover everything. But this video will take you through some of the things that I use most often, and kind of get you started on Photoshop. If anyone's interested, I do offer one-on-one mentoring and assistance, with these things. I know that it's one heck of a program to learn. There's a big learning curve. But with that being said, we're just going to dive in and just take things as they come. So I already have an image open, but the first thing that I'm going to show you how to do is to open an image in Photoshop. So you would go over to File, Open, it's going to load, and you would select your image, which I already have open. So you would say Open, but in this case I'm going to go ahead and press Cancel because I have the image open. I'm just going to go over the basic features. Now, if you shot in JPEG, your image is going to open just like you see it right here. If you shot in RAW, what you're going to see is this window pop up. I'm waiting on the computer. This window right here, it's going to pop up so you can make all of your basic RAW adjustments. So you have color and exposure. If you worked in Lightroom, this camera RAW setting should look very similar to that. It should feel familiar. You have basic tone curves, detail, so sharpening and noise reduction, your HSL, split toning, lens corrections, effects, which is where your dehaze is, camera calibration, which I like to use a lot, and then any presets that you might have. I do all hand edits, so I'm not going to be able to help very much with the presets. Ultimately, there will be presets released, but that's for a rainy day. Okay, so that's where you would start, and once you press OK on that, it's going to load it in just like your JPEG. So let's go over kind of what these tools down the side are. This is going to be kind of a brief thing. So this is your kind of grabbing, move around tool. I can't move it because it's blocked. So your little grabbing tool. This is your selection tool. You can select portions of the image. And if you right-click for PC users, you can change the shape of your selection. I can make it a circle. This is your lasso tool, so you get to draw whatever you want. You can make it where it'll do straight lines. Lots of options. Oops. Okay. Click up there. This is your quick selection, so I'm just going down the line, and you can make it wider if you want. I like to keep it all on one side. It's your quick selection, so you would just click, and it's going to basically select anything that looks common to it, just by clicking on it. Go down just one more, and this is your crop tool. There are a couple options here. You can drag it around and crop however you want. If you want to keep the original ratio, you go there, and it will lock those in for you. You can crop to just about anything that you want, 8x10, 2x3, 5x7. And I don't want to crop it. Down here is your healing brush. And again, we're not really learning how to use anything in this video. We just want to know where everything is. So this is your healing brush where you can fix up skin. You can do a lot of things with a healing brush. Below that is your paintbrush. You can, paint. Your clone stamp tool. So the clone stamp allows you, the healing brush blends the two together, but this allows you to take a sample of an image and place it somewhere else, anywhere else in the image. identically. This is your history brush. You can also access your history up here. This is your eraser. Boop. It's gone now. Okay, come down here and this is your gradient, your paint bucket, gradients, which in this case is going to change everything. Down below that is blurring, sharpening, and smudge. Below that is your dodge, burn, and sponge tool. This is your pen tool. If you need to add text, this is your text. This is just your little cursor guy. These are to draw shapes, rectangles, circles. Another grabby hand tool. And this is for zooming. If you want to zoom out, you come up here and it lets you change your zoom. And you can add to these toolbars and to your windows by coming to Windows, and you can find everything pretty much that you need in here. We're just going to go over the basic things that I use in my editing, some things that are important to photo editing, and where to find them. So those are your basic set of tools. So I'm going to show you 2 ways to find your adjustments that you may be using. So if you come to Image and you go to Adjustments, all of your adjustments are here. You're probably at first just going to be using kind of this set, brightness and contrast, brighten it, give it more contrast, less contrast. Levels is a little bit more detailed in being able to pick out the midtones, the shadows, and the highlights. So just a little bit more detailed than the brightness and contrast. And then curves gives you pretty much full control. And curves deserves its own little tutorial, but really they will all be getting their own tutorials. Again, this is just pretty much to show you around the program and to get you familiarized with everything. So the next one is exposure, and I love this. This is how I do all of my matte images. You can offset that. You can darken things up. You can give it that moody feeling without changing the exposure, really. It's great. I love that. So that's how I do my matte images without a preset. Presets coming very, very soon. So those are the basic adjustments for color and for contrast. When you get down here, you can change the vibrance or the saturation. They're kind of separated by this divider. You can see that. Hue and saturation, so you can change the whole hue, or you could target, just the reds or something like that. Obviously, there are specific instances where you would need this. Color balance is a little bit more detailed than hue and saturation. You are targeting just the shadows on the specific color sliders. You're targeting just the midtones, just the highlights. It's kind of like the difference between the brightness and the levels. It's kind of the same thing as hue and saturation versus color balance. They're similar, just one is a little bit more detailed, a little bit more control. This is how you can change it to black and white. Black and white's on there, and in this you get to choose your whitest part of your image and your darkest part of your image. You can hand pick where they stand on the gray scale, really. So your black and whites end up looking really, really very good. Your color or your photo filter is right below that, and you can add all sorts of filters to it, or you can choose your own color. You can choose how much of a filter is on there. This works really, really well if you're just wanting to warm up an image, or if maybe it's a little too warm and you need to cool it down. So those are basically the settings that I use on my images. Now, you can also find these down here. If you come down here, And coming down here, when you're using them up under image, works really well when you want the entire image altered. But if you want to do, say, one part of the image, using a layer would be your best bet. And we're going to have an entire tutorial that goes over how to properly mask things, which would allow you to just do the shirt or just do the flowers. And sorry about that. And you guys are probably going to end up getting any of the messages that I get. So if you come down here, there's this little circle. And if you click on brightness and contrast, it's going to bring up a brand new layer for you to adjust it. All the adjustments are there just as they were up in image. So you can use all of that. And again, in another tutorial, we're going to go over how to successfully use them to manipulate just parts of the image. But for now, we are just getting acquainted with the program. So under edit, under image rather, this is another important thing. You can go to image size, and this will allow you to see your DPI or your PPI, depending on, if you're talking about print or if you're talking about digital, and it will allow you to change it. So you can change that to make your web. You can change this to pixels. You can see your resolution, excuse me. And make any changes if you need to resize for the web, or if you're just worried about, if it's going to print properly. Image rotation, you might need to rotate something. You might want to add a border, so you can do that here under canvas size, which is going to change the whole, it's not going to affect your image, it's going to affect the entire canvas. So you're going to basically add space. Let's see. Let me go ahead and do that. There's another really great feature that I think everyone should know about. So I'm going to just add a little bit of space to one side. I added some space. And now I'm going to select the space. I'm going to go to Edit, Fill, Content Aware. Hopefully this works. Sometimes it works a little bit better than others. Excuse people on my photography page. Oh boy. It's that time of year, guys. This sometimes takes a little while because what it is doing is it's taking that area that I selected and it's trying to think about what areas in the photo look similar so that it can extend my background. Now I might need to go in with a clone brush and actually touch up, maybe get rid of that because it looks totally duplicated. But otherwise, it did a really nice job on it. Saved me a lot of work. So you could definitely fix it up. So I think that's very important. And that is Edit, Fill, Content Aware. Very important. And that's definitely one of the main things that I use. So let me just kind of recap. So opening the image, all of your tools are here. Your basic adjustments can be found right in here. Or down in here. And we'll go over saving an image. You would just click Save As, put in whatever you need to put in, press Save. You can use Export, maybe for the load. I know for you Lightroom users, you might be a little bit more used to using export, and you can still export your image. You have a little bit more control. I usually just save as because I'm not a Lightroom user, so I'm pretty much used to this. Oh boy. You can choose your format and choose your image size. Make sure that everything looks good before you actually save it. So if you are, this is a really great chance to check over everything. It lets you put your copyright data in there, and it lets you export all the photos. So that's really everything for an introduction to Photoshop. And I know it's a lot. Again, I offer one-on-one help and there will be videos and tutorials to go over every little part of it slowly but surely. Alright, thanks guys and have fun!